Peace. Think fast. Just like with playing sports, that analogy. When I say I want to be like Michael Jordan, as a player, and I let people know, my favorite players are the people who inspire me. Is Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson, this and that. Or if I'm a dancer, the person that inspired me is Michael Jackson, James Brown, But it's safe to say that whoever I admire, and a lot of us in this world look at who we admire and who are like again like with sports, who we want to base our game around, like who we really like or admire or want to base our skill set around. And I want to parallel that comparison to with the you could say like the philosophical warfare that goes on with certain people just bigging up like just the Aleister Crowleys, the Platos, the Aldous Huxleys, and I think about certain people who like say for instance you think about people who make movies and you think like some of them like well my favorite person to read is Aleister Crowley or Aldous Huxley or a matter of fact you think about you know Albert Pike in some of his literature saying that he believes he's the reincarnation of Ephesius Levi. And I forgot, I think Ephesius Levi dealt with adding the Hebrew letters to the tarot cards. Don't quote me. But again, you see these connections. So when a Timothy Leary say, I love Aleister Crowley, that's who I'm very into the OTO and things of this nature, then it would be idiotic for us to expect him to do something like outside of trying to be like Aleister Crowley. Like that's who he admires and this and that. He's not gonna say I admire Aleister Crowley and then try to be like Malcolm X. It don't really and it shows to not be that way again within the things that they do. So just bringing it to the upfront again, like with all these different connections of certain people. As a matter of fact, while I'm right here, think about like a Steven Spielberg who looked up to Stanley Kubrick, and Stanley Kubrick into all the the occult and esoteric information and into the vibes of certain authors who wrote about how to control society. Plato's Republic. And then Republic is a bunch of just a group of old men making decisions for the rest of everybody else. Matter of fact, in Aleister Crowley, it was said that he would just like with the LSD mind control vibe, he would slip mescaline on people. So it's no coincidence that again, Timothy Leary would be like, oh, I'm into Aleister Crowley, but all these people, are like, oh yeah, my favorite person is John Dee or H.P. Blavatsky. Or I really like Manly P. Hall and all these different authors, and people who again, their philosophies, are about controlling society. So again, just like a basketball, like if I say I love Michael Jordan and that's who I admire and that's who I shape my game around, then when I go on the basketball court, it would be idiotic for you to expect, me to play like players who I, don't admire. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, now with the reality situation, I'm, playing the game, so I'm gonna have my own little twist to, the way I do my thing. But again, if I say I like Allen Iverson, expect me to cross somebody over when I play basketball. You know what I'm saying? So the same situation. Like if I say I look up to Nancy Reagan and George Bush, you know, expect me to have some type of vibe where I'm insensitive to the world population. You know what I'm saying? Like it's it's a thing where again who we look up to, who we say we like again like with sports, or I model my game after. You know, so when we talk about these certain people, you know, I think about, you know, the brethren from one of these rock groups who bought Aleister Crowley house, you know. But again, if I say I worship a certain person, or I'm very, you know, again, very into the literature of a certain person, that doesn't mean that I'm going to practice philosophies that says otherwise. You know, if I'm studying Dr. Phil Valentine heavy and Bobby Hemmett heavy, then you know I'm gonna, you know, deal with information that they deal with, you know, or speak on it in a you know what I'm saying, some way, form, or fashion. Again, the people who I admire, the people who I like and look up to, I'm gonna mirror and in essence, you know, mimic the good parts of their game. You know, the parts of the game that they play that I admire. You know, but again, you see these correlations. People, no matter of fact, like to like the think about what it is. The Church of Scientology with L. Ron Hubbard, you know, dealt with the OTO, which they try to make it seem like he went to the OTO. They say he went to the OTO to try to do some undercover work to, you know, stop something or whatever. But as a matter of fact, and another brethren, Jack Parsons, American rocket engineer, chemist, co-founder of the JPL, and I brought this up in another video, but he was in Aleister Crowley, you know, basically like in his little circle, and it said that that Jack Parsons' wife left him for L. Ron Hubbard, the guy who started the Church of Scientology. So again, you see these correlations, you know. But that's basically it. Just you know, sharing that little insight. You know, like everybody, like, oh, I'm Sigmund Freud, you know, H.G. Wells and Jules Verne. You know, these people who you know, are like Karl Marx, you know, and Marxism. But this is all, you know, again. And when we realize, you know, that's another thing too about like with researching books, you know, reading books, and also knowing the author, and also knowing who like the author is influenced by, who is the author into, you know, and that also give us a deeper perspective, because I could know like, all right, that author likes so and so, so that's why I kind of keep hinting towards this, or you know, so I could you could get a even deeper assessment, you know. But I digress. Just again, matter of fact, or somebody like, oh yeah, you know, I look up to Albert Pike. Like, and again, that don't mean we're not prejudging anybody, but say for instance, if I tell you that Albert Pike and what's his name, that Forrest Gump was named after Forrest William Forrester. Like this is the man who started the KKK. But if I told you I really look up to the philosophies of Albert Pike and in the second Bush. Let's just say, if I tell you like, oh yeah, I like Albert Pike and and a lot of philosophies of the second Bush, you know, and I also like you know, General Robert E. Lee. I love any literature that comes from Robert E. Lee, the famous Confederate soldier. It would be safe to say that I would probably another philosophy that I would agree with is that well, we should have slaves, because you know Albert Pike and Robert E. Lee made a good point in this little, you know what I'm saying? So again, if it has scales, it swims in the water, you know, it has little gills on the side of it, has some fins, and it smells like a fish, it's probably not going to be an elephant, you know. So, just shared a little insight and light in that area, But peace. Have it now. Now is a vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Because it's so ridiculous, like making these comparisons is like, bruh, it should be this obvious, but it's really people who, well, nah, I don't think that. Like, it's some people in this world that could, that's still on the level of, disagreeing with the information, but hey, we all on different levels of our growth, to each his own. Can't knock them for their ignorance. I was once ignorant in some way, form, or fashion at one time myself. So. Peace. Again. Happy now. I'm out.